For the new releases, I have picked Thrice with Horizons West, of course, and From Fall to Spring, the German new metal band of the moment, with their second album, Entry Wounds. The red jumpsuit apparatus returns to their Don't Fake It days with Access for Eyes, Dying Wish, Flesh Stays Together, and Windwalker's EP, I Don't Belong Here. Rise with Horizons West came out October 3rd via Epitaph Records, like their last releases. It has 11 tracks, including Gnash, their probably hardest song since quite a while, I would say. Also, one of their best songs ever. My personal highlight would be Albatross. I really like the song structure, the lyrics, and Dustin's performance is insane. Just one of those singers where you can always be sure he will deliver. Where do we continue? Well, they themselves said that they were not planning on making Horizons East and Horizons West. They were just making a record that they would title Horizons. And then they had a bunch of songs, and they just started getting excited about making two records that belong together, like East and West. And then they had the plan that East was going to come out first, and they finished that. And then it took 4 more years for West to come out because they themselves realized that they didn't have any gas left in the tank. That's why this one took 4 years to follow up the original release and just came out this October. This information I took from an interview with a New Noise magazine interview in October 2025, done by Dustin Kensrue, the singer. And the content of the album, or the thematical background of the album, is really about passing reality, algorithms, and all of the stuff that's currently so ever present in our lives, with AI making big waves. So the album is self-produced by Thrice. All four members share production credits, and the engineering was done by Tepe Teranishi of the band and put out through Epitaph Records. I would really give this a recommendation unless you're looking for really just the hardest metalcore there is, because Thrice are pretty damn melodic and warm in the way they make their music, which I like very much. And I really like their focus and approach on songwriting. Now, Entry Wounds by From Fall to Spring, which I personally didn't hear about the band before this release. They made quite a big media waves in Germany. I'm not into mainstream media, so I didn't know. They were running for ESC for Germany. And this album, like I said, is the second one, released September 26th. So before the first episode aired. They are from Saarland. It has 10 tracks on here and is produced by Sebastian Monzel and Manuel Renner. Put out through a Rising Empire, which we'll be seeing more this episode. They have quite a lot of bands that are currently making waves. And they tried to write songs that bring life energy, that will give the crowd live energy to respond to the band's performance and go along with the band's performance. They said themselves they are trying to combine the best of both worlds, just really retain the core of the sound, that new metal with a bit of electric influences. And then they incorporated more variation, more emotions, and more intense song structures. So it's really just a more well-versed overall package. They said in an interview with Front Stage magazine ahead of the launch, it was also written during tour. So, of course, when you're writing an album while you're on tour, you're trying to create songs that will create energy with the crowd and interaction and that sort of stuff. So, yeah, the direct quote from the Front Stage magazine interview is, "Many songs on Entry Wounds were created directly with live energy in mind. Come Alive, for example, was written exactly for the stage. On tour, you immediately notice which parts work with the audience, and that is now reflected on the album." So you can tell that they really wanted to get more out of touring. Write this for having the energy on stage and bringing it to the crowd. Access for Eyes, the red jumpsuit apparatus. Now, this record caught me a bit off guard. I'm personally, after Don't Fake It, I really wasn't too much into the releases the band put out. They have been consistent in putting out albums and releases, but it never was much my style, like what I liked listening to. Even though their themes musically always were very emotional, which I usually like, but yeah, I don't know, just musically it didn't appeal to me too much. And this is a record I can listen front to back all the time, and it's never getting old. It's never getting boring. Same release date, October 3rd, as Thrice, 11 tracks as well. And they reunited the Don't You Fake It crew for this. So the band members stayed the same, of course, but production and everything else, engineering, was also done by the same crew. And so the band was really excited about this. And they also put unreleased tracks from the recording during Don't Fake It on here. So, yeah, not only is it the old crew, but it's also some old songs that have been written like 20 years ago. And that's really interesting. I don't think a lot of bands do that except for like putting the demos on an album as bonus tracks. The album was produced by Matt Squire, put out through the label Better Noise Music. And I would really recommend this to anyone who's into this kind of, I don't have any word for this, maybe just call it emo core again. Now, onto the real metalcore. In this episode, Flesh Stays Together by Dying Wish, produced by Grammy winner Will Putney, put out through Sharptone Records. 10 tracks, 35 minutes, and it's really intense. So Emma Bostad, the singer from the band, was quoted that this record is incredibly nihilistic, and that is something that I didn't really realize until it was done. In hindsight, I was like, oh wow, this is really dark. Part of it is how I actually feel, and there's another side of me that thinks there's hope. But I had to reckon with the fact that art is supposed to be honest and uncomfortable. That's how I felt at the time, and that's how I feel now. And I, before hearing this quote, had my issues with this album because the mix didn't make much sense to me. Like her voice is always a bit faded into the background. Like it's not front and center. Like I would like. It's not ever present as I usually like it, especially with female singers. But after hearing the quote about nihilism and everything, it just came together, made more sense. Still don't like the album too much myself, but for everyone who likes Dying Wish and their style, it's a must listen. It's very good. It has more singing than the album before, and Emma's singing is quite nice. I Don't Belong Here by Windwalkers, their 6-track EP, produced by John Eberhardt, put out through Fearless Records, who they just signed to this year, led by the lead single, or more like finished by the lead single Silk and Static, because it's the last song, which is about Trevor Borg's very own struggle with ADHD and looking into the mirror and realizing things about yourself, coming to terms with who you are. And he was quoted saying that at its core, I wrote this song to offer comfort to people who can relate to feeling overwhelmed and misunderstood while trying to make sense of themselves, which is just what music is all about, right? Sharing feelings and making other people feel understood and that they're not alone. I personally think that the approach to this EP is very nice. They are showcasing their biggest strength, which is just slow starts into a song, building into a wall of sound finish with harsher vocals towards the end, and it's very easy to tune into and listen to the 6 songs. Of course, the quality is incredibly high. The production level is killing it throughout, like with basically every album so far on this show. And that's all I really have to say about this.